Now, first, I just want to apologize in advance. DJI did not technically hire me to design a new camera, but they should. But I know they're watching, and hopefully this video will reach them, because coming into 2026, everyone's talking about the much anticipated Osmo Pocket 4, but I'm honestly not excited, but it's their fault. See, what they did is they released the DJI Osmo Nano. And once I got that camera in my hand, it completely changed how I create. But I'll probably still get the Pocket 4, but the camera that I really want isn't on the release schedule. So let me introduce you to my DJI Osmo Nifty or something. Maybe the name is a work in progress. But let me show you why DJI absolutely needs to make this camera. So let's first talk about form factor, because it's the primary reason why I'm not as excited about the Pocket 4 as I was maybe 9 months ago. When DJI introduced the Nano, we went from this to this. That size difference has completely changed the way I create, because even though this is small, it's just not as convenient. You can't fit this in your pocket, but this you can, especially when you can make it even smaller. And it's the same convenience factor that made the Pocket 3 a better option than my mirrorless setup. And as we've gotten smaller and smaller, the cameras have become more and more useful. I can take them way more places, and this is what really excites me to create. And with that form factor, this is the first advantage of the DJI Osmo Nifty, the gimbal. When it was first introduced, it was a really cool advancement. It allowed you to pan and tilt. You can have full control via a remote because of the Mimo app. But then we all realized that this is what made the camera incredibly fragile, and therefore made me want to use it a little bit less. Fast forward to them introducing me to the Nano, where they got rid of it. And this fixed lens, though initially it sounded like some kind of a downgrade, ended up being what made this camera so much more useful. It took away some of the options, and it forced me to lock myself into one particular perspective. And because I'm not worried about this camera getting damaged, because it's a fixed lens, there's no gimbal, there's no moving parts, I'm not worried as much about it getting damaged because the camera's now more durable. And I guess that gets us into why this is called the Osmo Nano Nifty. Well, that's because we're gonna do a fixed mid-telephoto or even a telephoto lens. If this new camera has a similar form factor and is magnetic, I don't need it to have the wide end because I'll still have this. So these should be two different companion systems, one on the wide end, and then the new camera would be on the telephoto end. So you can just give me a 50 or 75 millimeter lens that also has a magnet and does not have a gimbal. So now you're giving me a durable telephoto camera that I can carry around, and when I'm out filming in public, I can place one over here, I can bring one closer, and we're good. Now, I'm no engineer, but what I really need the ability to do is just tilt up and down, even if it's only by a couple of degrees. So that way, if I'm out filming in public and I want to stick my camera up high, I can still have it kind of tilt back down. But we found a way around that thanks to the hat clip, and a similar hat clip would work for this new camera. But I'm just saying, if you can give us some limited pan and tilt, doesn't have to be full 180. You don't have to be able to spin the gimbal around completely or anything. Just the ability to keep that lens recessed into the body. This is getting kind of complicated, but if you can keep it recessed into the body so that way it's not a part that is susceptible to damage. But maybe I'm asking for too much. Just give me a mid telephoto or a full telephoto lens. Like, I don't need all of this. Like, I love all of this, but I don't need it anymore because you've showed me something better. If they can give me a similar camera on the telephoto end with this same form factor, with the same magnetic accessories and all of that, then these two cameras together would probably end up being the best vlogging setup around because of all the integrations with the Mimo app and the Vision dock and the controls, and being able to have two separate cameras that are running. Like, it just changes the game. Now, the Nano was a camera that we were not expecting, and one of the features that we ended up wishing that we had is an external battery. I'm no engineer, so I don't know how this works, but if there were some way for us to have this be an external battery so I can take it out and put it back in, that would be ideal, because the battery on this thing dies way too fast. Like, it's still usable. I like that it's USB-C charging, but if there was a way for me to pop out the old battery and pop in the new battery, that would be fantastic. But even if we can't get that, I would love for them to find some way to partner with someone who is making a USB-C charging adapter like Telson. Now, as you may know, the Osmo Nano is two separate pieces. One component is the vision dock, this here is the camera. But for some odd reason, the way it was designed, there is only one USB-C charging port between the two. So even though the vision dock dies faster, you can't charge it separate from the camera, which hasn't been terribly inconvenient for me, but ideally they would either both die at the same time or have independent charging ports. But this company, Telson, recently reached out to me and they sent me a USB-C charging port, which is still pretty tiny, and it allows me to charge the camera separately from the monitor. If I can't have a removable battery, or maybe even make something like this as a removable battery, then this would be the next best thing. All of that plus the standard stuff, right? I would prefer a matte black finish instead of, you know, these white letters that they put in front of the Nano. I like the filters that are currently on the Nano, but if we could find some way to maybe give it the magnetic feel of the Pocket 3 so you can stack them. But listen, I'm not gonna get greedy. Just give me all the same basic things that this camera has, because I've just become someone who is a little bit more willing to kind of work with the disadvantages of the camera if the advantages are so major. And another small camera would absolutely do that. So I don't know. This is just my crazy idea. If you know somebody over at DJI, pass this video along to them. I would love to sit down in a room and have a conversation about what we can do to make the absolute ultimate companion camera to go along with the Osmo Nano. You know, Pocket 4 is coming. It's already probably done. But this one right here doesn't exist yet, so there's plenty of time for us to make this one just right. And if you guys have any other suggestions for this camera, please put them in the comment section below, because they're watching.